Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is Dearest Mother and Dad. Love, Ruth, John, Mark, Pamela, and Patricia. Ruth Smallshaw Ray's Letters to Her Parents, 1957, Part 109. 602 Huntmere Drive, Bay Village, Ohio, Tuesday, December 3rd, 1957. Patty, 1 month old. Dear Mother and Dad, we were so glad to get your letter that you'd arrived home safely, Mother. Very sorry that you'd been sick. Wish that I'd had supper earlier so you could have had it digested. Should have thought of that. I hope that the cold cleared up okay. We received your other letter today and sounds like all is fine there. I'm sorry I haven't written, but times have been at a premium and I budget every move, and when I settle to write, something else should be done. The night that I last wrote that things seemed to be better, they took a turn for the worse. By 5 o'clock a.m., John and I had decided independently, since he was up and I was downstairs, that Mark was getting pneumonia. The doctor came first thing in the morning and said that Mark and Pam both had bronchitis. The penicillin had cleared up the tonsils, but otherwise hadn't helped. So the doctor put both Mark and Pam on panmycin, $11, and a codeine cough medicine. I hated to see Pam go on a drug, as she usually has good natural fighting ability, but the doctor didn't want it to spread any further. So I had both in our room, Mark and Pam, with the steamer going. Neither have been outdoors since you left. Patricia's navel seems okay, but protruding. The doctor thinks it will go down as her bumps should. John met Dr. Taylor going into an obstetrical convention, and he asked about her bumps. A week ago Sunday, John's folks dropped in unexpectedly, the baby 3 weeks old, and after I'd nursed Patricia, she threw up like an artesian well, just flowed over, about a pint, John said. I thought maybe the excitement, getting supper, and we hoped it wasn't flu. Well, she's been doing it regularly. It gets very discouraging to bathe, feed her, and then she throws it up, and you have to change clothes and start over again, or go in and have the whole bed filled with curdled milk. The doctor says it's okay if Patty continues to gain weight, which we don't know, but she looks fine and seems contented. She throws up once a day, or sometimes not for a couple of days. I guess quite a few babies do it. It seems her stomach contracts very quickly or something. Then the day after Thanksgiving, I started having more trouble. I called the doctor and he said it was probably fatigue. Pam still has a cough, but Mark seems better, but I hate to say it. We got them dressed Thanksgiving, the first day since you left. We went to a small party Friday night to meet a girl from Japan. They'd invited the 2 recent presidents of the Junior Chamber of Commerce and the present one and wives. She danced for us at the home of the Chamber of Commerce. Then I went to the Junior Women's a week ago Monday. Patty was 3 weeks old and had lots of compliments. It was good to get out, and the baby slept fine. Friday we're going to the J.C. Auxiliary Board Christmas party, and Sunday with the J.C. National Convention group to a play. A week from Friday the 13th, another Christmas party, and Saturday the 14th, the Duffs have invited us to their new home. And on the 20th is the Christmas dance, Junior Chamber of Commerce at the University Club. So in spite of saying we would be staying home, it seems as though we can't retire. Thanksgiving night, John went to the dance band contest and dance. Junior Chamber of Commerce teenagers. And everyone asked where I was. I went to bed at 8 o'clock p.m. The children are invited to another birthday, Saturday, Clarice's. They missed Mary Kay's on Saturday. It's snowing now and they want to go get out and play in it. We'll phone to see if they have any more shirts. You don't have to send any money, but if they have them, I'll put it in the Christmas parcel, if I ever get to that stage. Mark goes to the throat doctor Saturday, and we have appointments for the next several weeks for dentist, obstetrician, and pediatrician, and have to make a hospital reservation for Mark's throat and tonsils. John got a scrapbook for Patty's cards. She is about 35 now, but not a baby book. Alf and Helene sent booties. I had a note from Chris. Mark got a card and $10 in his bank account from his godmother, Aunt Helen Zook. He now has $119 in it, almost all from Helen and Fred. He's wealthier than I am. John also got a pin-up lamp for the baby's room. He said it was more appropriate for Pamela, Mistress Mary quite contrary. I gave her your message, and she said, "Tell her she forgot one of her spoolies." I gave Mark the same message, and he said, "Tell her I love her too, and I miss her too." Mark's been a wonderful help, stayed in bed so well, and now that he's up, he's painting. And then he takes Pam for her nap and pulls down the blinds and covers her up and makes the bed. We went to church Sunday. I took communion, long service. Patty was hungry and crying when I got home. When John got home Thanksgiving night, he said Mark sat bolt upright in bed and said, "Daddy, what is a meeting?" He asked me again last night. John spoke to the Kiwanis in North Olmsted on a phase of the law. He's in Cleveland Heights Mayor's Court tonight. His client, a young fellow, hit a woman while driving. She was wearing black and was in the shade, stepped into the street in the path of the car in the shade. He had on sunglasses as it was bright sun and didn't see her. John was in court almost every morning for a week and doing fine. John's been a wonderful help, still doing all the diapers, baby clothes, and all the laundry. He folds them all for me. He finished the storm windows, always working. Thanksgiving we had a turkey, frozen, stuffed. It didn't give as much seasoning in the stuffing as we like, but still a good idea. An excellent turkey. Denise was over this morning, the gal that offered to take you to the hospital. She said the day she was over, she was so depressed, was the beginning of a bad spell. She had the pressure of the baby on an ovary, and it became extremely painful, but she seems better now. Carol has still been having bad pressure. She didn't think she'd last this long, although her baby is not due till Christmas. In spite of all our difficulties, it has been very satisfying to have a new baby. Very wonderful to have such a nice family. I've been happier than I ever thought I could be. Very lucky. Love, John, Ruth, Mark, Pamela, and Patty Ann. P.S. John's folks thought Patty looked like Mark did as a baby. She's very cute. 602 Huntmere Drive, Bay Village, Ohio. December 17th, 1957. Dear Mother and Dad, your very nice Christmas card and letter came today, and the parcel arrived Saturday. Only took a week and no duty. I think the card is very pretty, so soft and peaceful. I was very happy to hear about your new expected grandchild. From our experience, it was just about perfect timing to have the children 19 months apart. As far as loving one another, that you have to help them develop to some extent. Pamela seems to be enjoying Patty now. She can make her smile more than anyone and has all sorts of plans for her. When I'm bathing Patty in the bassinet, Pam bathes her dolly in the sink, shampoo and all. Unfortunately, Mark only had about 3 well days. He managed to get outdoors in the snow. It's raining now. The kiddies have played out together only 1 day since you left. They went to Clarice's birthday, and Mark saw Dr. Freeman for his throat and he scheduled his tonsillectomy for the last Saturday. But Mark's bronchitis returned, and we had to postpone it. He's been on penicillin and panmycin again and is now in our room, the steamer going and cart table and sheet tent over his bed. The other night, Sunday, Mark was so choked up he was alternately suffocating and throwing up. Poor little fellow. Pamela has a cold again, too. The doctor wanted to schedule Mark for the hospital Saturday, but I set it for the 27th so he could have Christmas. We hope he's better by then. Mrs. Gorey has been babysitting. When she came Thursday night, she had the flu. Fortunately, Patty didn't awaken, and next morning I got Mrs. Seuss while I went to the doctor. I'm okay. Still a little discharged, but okay. Muscles have stretched a lot, so we have exercises to do, and I go back in 6 weeks for a cancer check. Doctor gave me more iron for my blood. I got Mrs. Case for that night, the 13th, at 75 cents an hour, $1 after midnight, so an expensive party, $5.25, and had canceled the dentist and visit to the Duffs because of Mark. For babysitters, we spent $15 in 1 week. Our dance is Friday, so hope Mrs. Gorey is better. Patty slept through till 6:30 Monday and 5 o'clock a.m. today, but she was up at 4:30 a.m. with Mark. I got them all 4 of us, down for naps at 1 o'clock p.m. Some accomplishment. Patty is a real living doll, pink and white and so sweet and good. She weighs over 11 pounds and stopped throwing up. I think it was overfeeding, as she doesn't use all the milk I could produce. Now she just stops and smiles and goos at me as if to say, "That's all." Her bumps are nearly all better. Her navel may take a year or so to go down. Joan just called. They asked what we needed for Christmas, so have bought a playpen and bringing it over Sunday. We took John's folks and the Stevens to a play desk set a week ago Sunday. John still has a cold and cough, too. He's been to court almost every day since he got back, trying cases, and he's won every one. He's been on both sides. He won one the other night, a criminal case preliminary to the $35,000 civil case. He said he won it by what he did not say. The prosecutor alienated the judge. Patty has had more gifts and cards. Terry sleeper sets from the Fords, the JC National President last year, and Nell and Chella in California, a nightie from Chris, sleeping bag from Bruce and Jer. This one seems to get all the sleepers and nighties. Pam got the dresses. I hope Bud likes the Ivy League look in shirts, for it has button-down collar. They sent it out, and when I called, they said they didn't have the others left. John said he wouldn't mind, but then Bud might not. Send it back, and I'll return it if he doesn't. I undervaluated almost everything, so hope there's no duty on anything. I wish I'd remembered to pack them so they wouldn't be spoiled when opened by customs. Your parcel is intact, but the string was loose and the paper's off. The junior women's Thursday, dance Friday at University Club, and party for crippled people Monday at Public Hall. John is getting them to dig us a tree with roots so we can plant it later. Almost everyone has mentioned our Japan cards. Ruth Nilsson Seifert says I have them puzzled. Japan and baby at the same time. Elvis says that Judy is going to St. Chad's, also that Alice and her husband are separated. I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas. We feel unusually blessed. John said Saturday he had a tremendous feeling of well-being. Dr. Taylor says the third baby has a special charm. Patty really does. She's adorable. I hope we can get Mark well for Christmas. John said 14 babies were christened on Sunday. Love, John, Ruth, Mark, Pamela, and Patty Ann. P.S. I could write a book about Pam. She puts on a regular floor show for me when I nurse Patty. She cautions me when I put Patty down for a nap to be sure to awaken her when I feed the baby. The babysitter couldn't get Pam dressed when I went to the doctor, and when I got home, Pam had on the pink dress, period, no shoes. For me, she put on blue pants, patent shoes, pink sweater, white fur mitts, and plaid tam, and that pink slip over the dress and overalls. She has umpteen songs for Santa. One horse sled open, not open sleigh, jingle bells, etc. Pam fell in the butter the other day. She broke her slate, cut her hair herself. She stands in front of me and says, "I can make more hair," or "You still love me, don't you?" when feeding Patty. Pam said she could get over her cough if I'd let her sleep in the crib. I do so hope that we can get Mark well enough to get his tonsils out and that it will help him. I'm so weary of him coughing, and he must be weary of being in bed and coughing too. Tell Bud and Doris how happy we are for them. I've never been happier than with our 3 children. Patty looks like Mark did as a baby, but more feminine hands, very white, and a cheek line a little softer. She holds her head up well and will lie for an hour in her crib and watch her hands. Pamela asked Santa for a hot rocking horse for Patty. Pam does everything to make Patty smile. Mark has scarcely seen her as he's been in our room and isolated. Have a fine time and Merry Christmas and Happy 1958. Love all. 602 Huntmere Drive, Bay Village, Ohio, January 7th, 1958. Dearest Mother, every time I write, I think of all the things I forgot. How glad I was to get the Christmas cake. The icing was messed, but the customs had done it all. John said, "Those jokers." Also, the children have enjoyed their toy cookies. I never did get a cake made, but Mr. Paris gave us one too. Patty Ann looked so sweet at her christening Sunday, very pink cheeks and long white dress and a new white bunting from Grandma Ray. The congregation oohed when Reverend Brown held her up. John said you'd have enjoyed seeing her. Dick, Joan, and Connie are Patty's godparents. We had the folks and Dick and Joan for dinner. Love, Ruth and John. Now here's a letter from Mark. Dear Grandpa George, we bought some valentines, and I made some too. I first picked out the biggest one of a boy on a train. I said it was for George. Mommy said, George who? I said, you know, the George that came with Grandma and made the dinosaur disappear. We had a valentine for Grandpa George, so then I gave the train one to Chucky and Timmy, 'cause they're big too. Love, Mark, Pam, and Patty Ann. P.S. It really was cute the way Mark picked out his biggest valentine first and said it was for George. Love, Ruth. Now here's a letter from Pam. Dear Grandma, Mark wanted to make a rug for Grandma. Mommy didn't know how to make one. Mark said put a lot of potholders together, so we had to make potholders. I made one. Here it is for you. We didn't make enough for a rug. Maybe when we are bigger. I'm a very good girl now. Patty sat in the high chair yesterday and laughed when I banged the tray. It's almost as big as my little Grandma Smallshaw. I love you, Pam, Mark, and Patty. Now there's a letter from John Ray. Myers, Stevens, and Ray, attorneys at law, 2021 Superior Building, 815 Superior Avenue, Cleveland, 14, Ohio. February 10th, 1958. Dear folks, we had Patricia Ann baptized yesterday. My brother Dick and his wife and Connie George were the godparents. The lumps on her head have entirely disappeared now, and she is just about the cutest little gal you ever saw. She has a marvelous disposition and a ready smile. I thought you might like to look over the enclosed. The weather here is around 0 and very cold. Love, John. 602 Huntmere Drive, Bay Village, Ohio, February 11th, 1958. Mrs. Gorey went to the hospital Christmas Day with pneumonia. She's still there. She was here the night she got sick at first. Dear Mother and Dad, many thanks for the Christmas parcel, cookies, cake, and sweater, and the money for an iron. You shouldn't have sent us the money order. I will try to get an iron, though. I'm sorry that you find it hard to think of things for us. John needed navy wool socks and the red plaid shirt you sent. He's worn out the sleeves, so I had to cut them off. He's also out of flannelette pajamas and needs ties. So for next year, there are suggestions for Bud and Doris. I had a nice letter from Bud. He didn't mention the shirt. I told John not to pay the bill in case you wanted it returned. They haven't had any advertised since, but will replenish their stock soon, I imagine, so don't hesitate to return it if he doesn't like the buttons. It was a good thing John shopped for us in Japan, for I only went out once shopping and got another string of lights. I hope you were not alone for Christmas. Mark was so sick even the penicillin and panmycin didn't cure his coughing. So 3 days before Christmas, the doctor put him on ileticin so we could get him up for Christmas. And on the 27th, we had his tonsils out. He was so good, but has had severe ear pains and on aspirin and aralgia constantly. Pamela also has had another cough. I hope we're on the mend. We went to Sandusky for Christmas. Santa was too good to the children. An electric train and village for Mark, Tiny Tears doll with wardrobe for Pam, plus a sewing set and paper dolls, Jack in the Box, blouse, boat, tractors, all from John's folks. Our house is crammed with toys. Patty Ann is a real charm. She's so pretty. The doctor gave me a wonderful report. She gained 4 pounds and grew 4 inches in 6 weeks and is so fat now. She just smiles and smiles. I'm just so in love with her. She threw up her cereal this morning, but nurse is fine now. We've been to several nice parties. Friends in Shaker Heights that we drove to Kansas with Friday night have a new $65,000 home with 5 baths. Very lovely. We went to the Duffs on Saturday. Lovely new home too, both colonials. I wore my white sweater to church Christmas Eve. Carol had a girl, Kathy Lynn, December 30th, 7 pounds, 11 ounces. Happy New Year. Love, John, Ruth, Mark, and Pamela, and Patty Ann. Dear Mother, Pamela didn't think of you as just another babysitter. 100 times she's asked, Grandma Smosha didn't die, did she? It's a daily question. Once she asked, Is she still in the big airplane? Canada isn't too far away, is it? I'd love you to see the big development in Patty Ann. She's smiling so prettily and has such lovely plump legs now. She has a lovely complexion and looks as Mark did, except a little more feminine. The pictures are very good and we're taking more. We'll get prints for you. John's folks got him a camera, so he's experimenting. We showed the children the slides last night, almost as if you were in the room. Aunt Olive sent Pamela a bride's white Bible today. Her little goddaughter, so thoughtful of her. We must make arrangements for Patty Ann's baptism, but we've been so wound up with Mark. Poor Mrs. Gorey was coming down with the flu the night she was here with the children and went to the hospital with pneumonia Christmas Day. I was also shocked to hear of Mr. Fortime. He died of leukemia. He phoned me in Regina that morning long ago. It certainly was a good move for me. I've never been happier than I am now, nor more tired either. Much love to you both and happy 1958. The throat specialist says Mark inherits respiratory weakness and allergies from me because of my red hair. John's mother was so sorry Christmas Eve. Dave took Lisa to his folks and wouldn't bring her back to see Santa Claus, Uncle Dick. Poor Carol. She had baby Kathy December 30th. They stopped in Christmas morning for a few minutes. Hope you had a good New Year's anniversary. Love all. Now we have several comments, letters to the editor, based on the original publication. And the first is from Tessa Delina, the former secretary of Russell Est Educational Center in San Juan, Metro Manila, Philippines. Greetings to you and your family. I just finished reading the dramatic SFMC 45, and I guess this particular issue focused mainly on two events, happy and sad events. The first is the birth of Patty Ann, a lovely bundle of joy, and the second one is the death of your great-grandfather. Ruth seems to be on cloud 9 since the birth of her third child. John, still the same, a busybody. Mark and Pamela being responsible kids and a big brother and sister to the new baby. I forgot to mention the cover photos. They were beautiful. I am sure Patty Ann would be happy to see her very first picture right inside the delivery room with her dad included. Thanks so much for keeping me updated with the latest issues. More power to you. Keep it coming. Sincerely yours, Tessa J. Delina, Quezon City, Philippines. And the next comment is from John S. Ray, the Ruth's husband and the important person in these letters, my father. Dear Editor, SFMC 45 is filled with interesting comments by Mark. Mark wanted to know if the new pants he received from Grandma Smallshaw were as pretty as the dress which Pamela received. On page 582, Mark said he had a hard week. Mark is concerned about his mother's health and tells her to get off her feet before she has pains. A priceless question. What is a meeting? What an innovative suggestion when he said potholders could be used to make a rug. All this when he was just a little boy. What fun to read those. Love, Dad. John S. Ray, Rocky River, Ohio. And here's a letter to the editor from Mark Ray. Dear Peter, just got the new SFMC on Patty. Great picture. I remember her that way. Neat reading about Patty. She was a great little kid. Mark D. Ray, Carlsbad, California. And here's a letter from Patricia Ray. Hi, Peter. Jane Faulkner loved the SFMCs, especially because of the Cleveland connection. I'm reading the one about their trip to New Zealand and Australia and loving it. I feel less guilty now, reading about that trip, that Mom missed the trip to Japan to have me the following year. She just had the world tour the year before. Geez. Love, Patty. Patricia A. Ray, Brookline, Massachusetts. And there's another letter to the editor from Patricia. Hi, Peter. I read SFMC 45 in its entirety last night and enjoyed the whole thing. It's amazing to be able to look back as an adult and look at the situation I was born into. It was an exciting and wonderful time in the life of our family. Mark was certainly a big support to Mom all the time, and Pam being her wild individual self. Then I come along, smiley and glued to Mom, Pam making me smile all the time. I was much more dependent on Mom, and I'm still trying to deal with that need in myself, and Dad was an amazing dynamo. I think I was the mellowest one in the group, despite just being a baby. It is amazing to read the telegram Dad wrote when I was born, both of us red-haired daughters. Patricia A. Ray, M.D., Brookline, Massachusetts. To be continued. Well, that concludes today's presentation. Good luck to you with your efforts in family history if this interests you. Finding, preserving, and sharing old letters, diaries, photographs, family movies, videos, and interviewing elderly relatives while they're alive. You might consider checking out our website, Adventures in History, with Peter J. Ray at peterjray.com. So far, we've made 666 history videos in 7 areas: world history, American history, book reviews, poetic tours, Cleveland baseball, family history, and autobiography. There is a donate feature. You might consider making a donation so we can continue making these videos. You also might consider checking out our podcast, Adventures in History, at Anchor FM Peter Ray, REA. If you live in Metro Manila, Philippines, and are looking for a high school, you might consider Celeste Educational Center. Celeste is located in San Juan, Metro Manila, Philippines, Barangay May Tunas on Allenby Street, not far from the corner of P. Guevara and Wilson Street. At Celeste, we specialize in helping young people who have had difficulty in the larger traditional high schools, and the website, and we try to be creative and innovative. It's more than a school, it's a warm, supportive community, and the website is resalest.education, RESALEST. Thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.